Assalamu alaikum, good afternoon listeners. It's me Sulaiman Ben Sware coming back live on Open Gambia platform. If you just bear me a minute, let me share the video, then we'll start the program. Okay, thank you very much. Today is Monday, the 3rd of October 2022. The time is just gone about 5 minutes to 6 in the afternoon in Birmingham, England. I am going to share a little bit of information from the investigation so far done in the recent drug seizure in Salaji. And the reason for this is, again, as I've been warning, that country have turned to a narco state. And we all have seen the evidence of that. And it's not because of the frequent seizure of tons of cocaine, but this is the tip of the iceberg. I tell you, the amount of drugs in the country is far more than what comes out in the open. But we have seen the evidence too in the problems in society with the crime rate, especially with the youths, and generally all these violent crimes committed by youths are influenced by drugs. And people that are in the know can tell you that we have not even seen we haven't seen much yet. This is going to get worse as time goes on. And when I came out about months before the seizure of the 3 tons of cocaine, because I saw what was happening, and people started to really get concerned about what they were seeing in their neighborhood, and this is where it's getting to. But again, the other reason why I'm coming is we have to hold the system accountable. I know people tell you, oh, Dara Dusigena or whatever. Look, we do what we should do. We'll do what we are supposed to do. Let others not do what they're supposed to do. But at least we have done our bit. The the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, when they put their press release, there was a paragraph dedicated and technically pointing to me for holding them accountable. And I have good reason to hold them accountable. And because of my calm down and constant spotlight on the activities of the drug cartel and drugs in the Gambia. But as we have seen, this is not new. All the major drug finds in the country, nothing has been done about it. Nothing, absolutely. They have not. They never arrest the real culprits. They will end up arresting some accomplished, but the cases will never even see court because of the drug cartel is controlling the systems, and the drug cartel cannot do that without having a political buy-in. We can name so many findings, but let's look at it. Since this administration, not a single drug found, been taken to court. The 3 tons coke is still there. A Gambian, young Gambians is victimized, Sirif Njai, and nobody have seen banter or anything. We know that people dealing with drugs have political buy-in. They have access to the most senior operative in the country. We'll talk about that in a minute. Now, this find again, I'm not hopeful, but does not mean that we should not highlight it. It doesn't mean that we should not highlight it. We should highlight it, and to educate Gambians or educate ourselves, to people, to hold this government accountable. And that's the only time there will be change. Because of the grit of this, people in power, they don't care. They don't care. But it's affecting our country. I'm going to share limited information because I am monitoring. I am holding them accountable. We're trying to educate each other, but still, I don't want them to have an excuse to blame us that we interfered with their investigation, or because of we have said something, that's why the case collapsed, or their investigation, were undermined. We don't want to take that risk. That's why I'll limit some of the things I have to share to give them that freedom, even though I didn't have trust in them. And the reason I don't have trust in them, these are the same people that were in it before Adam Barrow's government. And they are explicitly corrupt. And we all had some of that, during the TRRC, and most of the leaders of the drug law enforcement agencies, came through the TRRC. We know how corrupt they are. But again, their performance in this 6 years of government is evident there for everybody to see. Okay, how I came across, people will notice that I came out and agitated, published that there's an ongoing operation. That so much, about 600 blocks, did I write something like 600 or 800 blocks of suspected cocaine found at a residence in Salaji. And I said, already there's fear, or already, there's, cover-up going on. I live in the United Kingdom. But again, as I said, my background, my profession, and because I've put myself out there, and again to prove that it's not the entire drug law enforcement agency are the problem, or entire government are the problem. There are people within the systems who want to see improvement, who want to see good, who want to see progress. I got the information while the raid was going on. Among them among the people conducting the raid, I had a communication with. They alerted me that they are presently in a raid and this thing happened, but the person feared that they're talking to someone who have influence with State House. This is what I was told. And I was given names, and I'll explain that bit. When I was told that, he said that he said the operation's been going on from yesterday, but if you don't report this, they might try to cover it up. I think you need to put something out. I put something out, caveat, I did not put anyone's name in it. I said, this is what is reported. It's not that I don't trust the source, but you have to be careful. I put it out there, but not only that. I went out, I got my own contacts, I laced with my contacts. And when I said, one of them said, where? I gave them the location. I said, Salaji, this. Interesting. He said to me, let me come back to you. He came back to me and said to me, and he said this to me, it's not the location that he suspected. But he said to me, whilst you are on it, there is another location active. He said to me, there's another location active. Means there's another location active in this drugs. You see, there are so many going on. There are so many going on. There are so many going on. When he said, I said, look, there's another location active. I cannot sit in the United Kingdom here to deal with everything that goes in the Gambia. But there are no competent authorities that you can rely on. And for the records, not without trying. Not without trying. So many instances I will not even use we, I have contacted, because I use my expertise, contacted and offered my service for free. I don't want a job. Free. I sit here, I don't want to even pay air ticket. I don't want to even go to the Gambia. 7 years I've not been to the Gambia, but I can sit here and agitate and get information. I know where to look for information. I know how to get information. I offered what South American cartels are doing, their networks, what the links between South American cartel and the Turkish and the Lebanese cartels. I have the network. I technically spoke to people. I said this is going on in the Gambia. The contacts of the Russians, Russian contacts. I give them Russian contacts. With some West Africans in the Gambia, Nigerians and Senegalese for that matter in the Gambia. I gave them that. I said that's going on. Obviously, I didn't give them in detail. The North Korean, Nigerian, Senegalese affairs happening in the Gambia. It's just so much. But they are not interested because they don't know, because these people are not working alone. They are working with Gambians, and these Gambians are who? This is the problem. They don't want to take it on because they deal with the Gambians who are masquerading as business people, as business tycoons. They are building estates, they are building big houses, going on. The Gambia economy cannot support what's going on there. If you pull out the money laundering, yes, then the Gambian economy will be realistic. If you see the activities of certain people, and that fools you to run into Gambia thinking that, oh, there's business booming in the Gambia. Nothing booms. Most of these people are accessing cash from illicit deals, from coke to identity theft and different districts. Be it in Dubai, be it in Turkey, be everywhere else. That's the center. That's what they do. And when this happened, I mean, so this is another this thing going on. I said, let's concentrate on this one. What have transpired is, I know the press release talked about, let me just point to what the press release talked about. They make it up as there are certain things we have to understand in this business. The press release make it as if the Drug Law Enforcement Agency went into, let me use the word they use, the seizure is a result of a well-organized, coordinated, high-profile, intelligence-led tactical operation started with an initial seizure. That's a lie. That's a lie. As I said, I am not going to reveal bit of information because I don't want to undermine or them to turn around to accuse or use as a scapegoat, or we lost the investigation because of social media. That's a lie. If that was a fact, you know what would have happened? They would have known, if it was a well-organized, they would have known when it came to the country, who brought it to the country, how it came to the country, and all the other locations that they were stored, especially the bigger bulk was stored. They would have known that. That's what they had the intelligence before. But what transpired, as they said, which part of it is true, is fact, and to know it's a localized. They said it themselves. The Gambia Drug Law Enforcement attached at Carnifin Municipal Command. You see, it's what happens here. Let's just put it by chance. They came to this by chance. It's not because of they are structured, they are organized. It's not that they are professional. That's why they got this operation done. Every other fine these people have, it's not that they follow a trail. The 3-ton cocaine came through intelligence lines from outside to them. And that they deliberately undermined the investigations because of, people involved. Every other fine. The hashish of cocaine, hashish of the hash, Moroccan hashish, they got in this thing. It was by chance. Everything was. What happened here, it was localized. If it was, as they said, obviously, it would not have been the local KMC unit or whatever command they called them. Something was going on. One, as they explained themselves, it started with it started with one block at Westfield. It started at Westfield. One block deal to go. Obviously, if I explain what that happened, I don't want to explain what happened there because, as I said, but It's happened by chance. And I'll tell you, even what happened at Westfield Environment would have been something else. But little bit of persistence took them to another location where they found the other bit. Now, they Westfield Johnson, followed by seizure of from 44 blocks, and subsequently 689 blocks discovered in a storage inside a private residence located near Paradise View in Salaji. That's the big hole. That's when they went to the property. Obviously, this is what led them to the property. If they had an overview and an oversight completely of the operations of this drug, they would have hit, or they would have put these places under surveillance, and they would have arrested a lot. Now, they said through this operation, they arrest 6 people so far, including one Gambian, Omar Fofana, and 5 Sierra Leoneans, namely Junior Vandi, Jeremy Thomas, Alex Thomas, Alaji Suare, and Joy Bangura, a lady. 3 of the Sierra Leoneans are staying in the compound, whilst Omar Fofana is said to be the one in charge of the compound, but does not live there. For clarity, the Suare person have no relation, for that matter, with me. For that, to clarify that, no relation. Now, I know some people, some activists or some people on social media said, "Oh, let them give us." Look, I think even they have put too much in the initial information. They have provided too much. Now, law enforcement should be very tactical in how they share information. They should have come out to say that we launched operation in the region in Combo, and we happen to this, and 6 people are arrested. A Gambian is one of them, and the other 5 are of different nationality. That's it. There's a reason for that, but I don't have time to go through. There's a reason for that. But they give these names, and that's what they share. Okay. The minute they were during the operation, when I got the information, I was given the name of Lamin Sedikan. The person, I'll make this very clear, said that the person told me, Lamin Sedikan is the owner of the consignment, and there's a cover up already going on. Can you put it out? I did not put Lamin Sedikan's name out there. That's why I said the investigators too should not have put names out there. I am only putting Lamin Sedikan's name out there because I've already seen the name on social media. I would not have given his name. There's a reason for that. The innocence until proven guilt. There's a reason for that. There's a reason for that. Now, when I was told Lamin Sedikan is a common name in the Gambia, especially in Jara. I don't know which Lamin Sedikan they refer to. But as I said, I got contacts, and I sent feelers, send messages to certain people. Something going on, and this name Lamin Sedikan, and different various identity came up, but they're not the people. These things, and finally it was narrowed down to 2 people, and finally to the Lamin Sedikan with someone I know. And from the investigation, they said Lamin Sedikan was involved. And the Lamin Sedikan I knew from early 90s. I know he knew him from early 90s in Bakau. He used to come somewhere very close to where I used to be. He was a custom officer. And in mid-90s, we met in London. Both of us, I was in London at the same time that he came to London, to live in London. And later he moved to Watford and he studied here and he went back. We met twice whilst he was living in London, England, twice. But there's no, I've not, probably since the mid-90s, I've not see of him or heard of him. But I understand now he's a business, he went back to the Gambia and he's a business guy, he does constructions and all that stuff. That's what I know. Now, when that happened, I said, look, let me dig in deep into this. It transpired, this is the narrative I've got somewhere else. Because when things happen, we have to be very careful what's involved. Now, they told me, from my side of investigation, that the property is the compound in Salaj is owned or is managed by Lamin Sedikan. What that means that Lamin Sedikan is a contractor, he builds properties. And so on. And apparently he's got a big contract right now with the Edward Francis Small Hospital. He's doing the renovation. Someone told me that. I don't know how true that is. Lamin Sedikan is the property owner or manages the property. And Lamin at that time was away in Spain. And the Sierra Leonean, I think the guy called Jeremy, one of the Sierra Leoneans, Jeremy Thomas. I think Jeremy Thomas is a contractor, a builder, it's a builder. And he worked for Lamin Sedikan. Apparently, when the property was finished, almost finished, Lamin Sedikan gave him permission to use the property, to reside in the property. And whilst, living in the property, Omar Fofana, it works for Lamin Sedikan, and I believe, and they said I believe Omar Fofana is Lamin Sedikan's nephew. Omar Fofana is Lamin Sedikan's nephew. Now, Omar works for Lamin and he does supervisory job. Like he sends him around, run errands and so on. This is how Omar is involved. Omar and Lamin, this is so far their role. That's why I said, to put the names out there in the media, it would just have assumed as guilt. Oh, they are taking part in drug trafficking. That's not. The only time you can determine that is investigation. Through investigation. There are many ways you can do, during the investigation, there are many things they can look at to tie people onto this. We'll come to that. Now, let me just note this before I forget. Okay, to this. Now, what happened in Westfield, the deal that was going in Westfield, which was almost going to be just that, but persistence from operatives, it moves to another location. I don't even know this location. I forgot to get this. And they found another thing. Now it moved to this location. And when they went there, they found the other Sierra Leoneans living there. Now, if you extract Omar out of it, the people involved all are so far Sierra Leoneans. This is very interesting. Now, Lamin relationship to this case is that the property belongs to him, or he's the guy, authoritative person to the building. What links Omar Fofana to the property, to this deal, is that he visits, or when they found the Sierra Leoneans, Omar wasn't there. Yes, they told me Omar wasn't there. Obviously, Sierra Leoneans said, who's the contact person? Is Lamin Sedikan. He's not here. He's gone to Spain. But this is his cousin, nephew Omar, who deals with us. This is how it transpired. The drug law enforcement officer I spoke to assumed that these names given they are involved. But again, as I said, I mean, situations can arise, but you have to determine that. The guilt of Lamin Sedikan, the guilt of Omar, it's not to be assumed, it's to be proven. Now, when this is what they said, it's the link of things. But whatever transpired, whether it's Lamin or not, Omar or not, we can determine that the person who was responsible of the property, I mean, the responsibility in here is one, the owner of the property, two, the supervisor of the property who comes on the property, three, the person who lives in the property, who have control over the property. All these people have kind of a responsibility to the property, but this person who lives, the Jeremy Thomas cannot or will be new because he invited, according to what I came across, that Jeremy invited these people. That's what let's say that's what Lamin and Omar are coming their defense from the investigation. Said, look, we own a property, we develop a property, Jeremy worked for us, and we gave him a place to live, and we don't know anything more. Omar do come around to visit, but he didn't know. But Jeremy should know. Now the investigation should determine whether these people are innocent or guilty. But what says is Jeremy should know. And Jeremy should know because of he cannot excuse himself so that I have welcomed this amount of people in my house, or in a house I live or have responsibility for, and I give him a locker and everything else. I don't know what was locked in there. Now, this is what happens now. But I have a problem here. The problem is Sierra Leoneans alone. If you understand the chain of command, if Lamin is not guilty, or Lamin might not be guilty, whatever it is, as I said, it's not, we cannot determine that from here. It's the investigation. We call competent investigations can determine who need to be charged and taken to the courts, and the court to determine who is guilty. Now, but I tell you one thing is, Sierra Leoneans alone will not bring in cocaine, that amount of cocaine in the Gambia. If you understand how this market works, a cartel does not sell to anyone. And most of the case, the money exchange at a different level. You cannot just walk in today, I want to be a drug dealer, I'll go to Dubai, I go to South America, I go to this location and buy drugs. No, it doesn't work like that. What happens is there's a lot of trust and there's a special mechanism that they work with. Because they have to, it's about security, their own security, and they have to protect themselves, in a business, because it's not one-time sell and move on to something else. This is an empire, this is a network. You have to be part of that network. You have to buy in to be part of that network, not go and get money and buy and go and sell. No, it's a cartel. Now, the cartel will not, whoever can, you can go and try and get a kilo or 2 kilo or 3 kilo somewhere. But to get a ton, almost a ton or a ton, the cartel doesn't just move things around. They move things according to networks. That's why every merchandise have a hallmark, a brand, a hallmark. They protect that brand up to their source. Now, they don't just walk around as a market. No, it's a very structured market. Now, for someone to go and find that market, about a ton, I want to go to the Gambia. Where am I taking this to the Gambia? From my investigation, and the LRD should find this, 3 tons of coke came, and it was divided. This part came to the Gambia, the other part was taken to Bissau. Now, wherever the coke came from, my cartel members, South Americans, Lebanese, if I say Lebanese, I mean the Hezbollah, mainly the Hezbollah, Turkish, and at some point, Turkish intelligence for that matter. This consignment have South American and have the Hezbollah, what happened with the Hezbollah? Some of these people, they moved to Turkey now. They operate from Turkey. These are the people involved, and it was 3 tons, and they divided it. I think equally. I believe equally. This bit came to the Gambia, and this is how they should find out what bit and who brought this to the Gambia. The Sierra Leoneans are just foot soldiers. All these people named here, I'm not saying that they haven't got responsibility, but they are not the kingpins. No. If you understand this trade, the kingpins don't touch it. The kingpins don't deal with it. What they do is they operate another level. They talk to presidents, they talk to ministers, they talk to army commanders, they talk to Inspector General of Police, they talk to head of intelligence. They deal in that, they buy political backing. They are business people, they present themselves as this. That's what they do. They don't touch it, they don't transport it, they don't listen. Even the money would go into businesses from there and comes. You have to understand this. These Sierra Leoneans, for anybody to be seen with it, you are a low grade. The top grades are never close to where the fire is. Especially to house it in your property, or to live with it, or to be transported in. Everybody that involves are of another level. And if you want to get these things, you have to cut the head of the snake. That's why I said, if the the law enforcement agency were efficient, that's where they could have got it out. But do you know problem with that? That's the problem with these investigations and all these other investigations. Those people will be untouchable. Because what they do is they have political buy-in. Just as the case of the Banta case, they have political buy-in. And because of the greed of the president, greed of the first lady, because of the corruption of the institutional heads in the Gambia, yes, it's easy to get them. They ask for iPhones, they ask for laptops, they ask for money. And these people, I'm a businessman, as much as they know, I am a businessman. That's what they know. And the NDLA are controlled because they are not even supposed to be there. Now, the political powers that appoints them know that they are not competent. But they will do as they want. If they say, look, try to sort out this case because we don't want it to get there. Do not get there. That's why this case will not get there. Whether Lamin is involved or not, I don't know. I cannot vouch. I can vouch for people I know. There are certain people I know in my life, or I know about. Or not even in my life, you tell me they are involved with. I said no, that's not true. I can tell you that. But I mean, people are vouching for him. That's for them. I cannot vouch for anybody that I don't know. Like I mean, I don't have that relationship. I don't have that relationship. I can vouch for him, but. What we expect is investigations, but look, it's going to be incompetent. The people are incompetent, they are corrupt. And the people that imports this, the cartel, have control over the systems. Nothing will come out of this until Gambians take it on themselves to make sure something come out of it. This is where the position we are. And as I said, when I was investigating this, my contacts told me, when they said, let them come back to me, they said, no, the person I spoke to, in fact, said, no, it's not the one he taught. He said to me, not the one he taught, because around the same location, he said, there's another one going on. And to give just a kind of there was this other one that when we share it, what happened? It just went dead. And what was involved was a Guinea-Bissau national and a Gambian woman. And that Gambian woman was dating the head of the Senegalese commander at the State Guards. And there was something more else. They did not do anything about it. They did not do anything about it. That's how powerful they have political bias. Now, this is the situation we find ourselves. And if we expect to live in peace, this is what corruption brought to us. This is what corruption brought to us. And for this thing to be possible is corruption. And the background of this, let nobody tell you, oh, Yaya Jammeh time. Yaya Jammeh was controlling it. Now the cartel just have a free reign to do whatever they are. My proof to this is, during that time, in 2014, just to give you a background, I was invited through a friend, a brother for that matter, Gambian, a brother for that matter, to Dakar, because they wanted regime change, and they said they have the means for regime change. What they wanted was for me to support them to identify leaders for that regime change, Gambians that would take over. They would do everything and take out here. I went, I paid nothing. They did not pay anything for it. I was interested to hear. I only spent 2 nights in that brother, he's no more, in Dakar, his property, 2 nights. The rest, I took care of myself. And the reason I stayed with him, I said he was a brother. But I have not taken anything out of gratitude. I sat with them. They were Angolans. And during the TRRC, go and listen to SFL and the head of SIS. When SFL was trying to get the link of drug dealers and Angola, they could not go through because SR was limited. And obviously, the SISDG would not volunteer everything. I sat with them. I have to listen. I have to encourage them. I participated that much because I want to know. Because I was fearful of what they went to do. I was not going to support any form of regime change by Rogo people, I don't know. They told me what transpired, why they want to do that. Yeah, and in that meeting was a retired French colonel. And if you check, most of our drug fines, there are Gambians with French nationality. There are Gambians from certain part of Africa, if you know what I mean. And when we had the discussion, literally what they said, they want a puppet government. Literally what they said, that because of Yaya Jammeh double-crossed them and took a consignment from them and took a market away from them. They are cattle. They have what it takes. They were ready to have all the means by 2015, all the means to bring in 300 mercenaries from Angolan to storm State House and capture, or storm Jammeh and capture him. They could have done that. And where they were operating from was Dakar. And these people work freely in Senegal. They have properties, they own money, they have money. And they told me, if you want to understand what happens, they gave me coordinates and asked me to go and witness it myself to see what happens in that country. I traveled to Gambia. I visited the 8 places they told me. I monitored the airport. I monitored the time they gave me for the airport. I have seen the evidence. And if you think that Yaya Jammeh fell out with Langton Montamba, you think that Yaya Jammeh fell out with Jesus, you think that Yaya Jammeh, everything else, and Amadou Samba was part of that. That to say that because, oh, someone have a lucrative business, is not a drug dealer, that's not true. Amadou Samba was part of that. And that's why, if you understand, the time I left, I think one of it, when I left Senegal, that was the time the Sidia Bayo and others did the citizens arrest on Amadou Samba. They don't even, because Amadou Samba was within their vicinity, they don't even know why Amadou was there. They just jumped to conclusion and did the citizen arrest on Amadou, because Amadou was meeting kind of people. Yes, he was on Yaya's mission. But again, if you listen to the TRRC properly, again, go and listen to Jesus. What he said, the last minute when he had problems with Jammeh, he had to go to Amadou's residence in the dead of night. And Amadou had to, Jesus, the police officer, IG, and have to receive them. And they stayed on the phone trying to beg. Why do you think Amadou do that? And this is all because of the control Jammeh had on cartels. And the drug fine at Bonto, everything else, Jammeh was deep in it. He had to rescue himself out because of already it was being monitored by international bodies. Jammeh had to extract himself. We inherited, this government inherited an infrastructure like that. You know what what is happening? Barrow just gets envelope. Barrow would not know the envelope where it comes from. Barrow just accept money. He doesn't know where the money comes from. All he knows is a businessman. That's why some people will not understand when you say that the government is involved in trafficking. I'm not saying that Barrow would know that this money is from drugs, but he takes it because a businessman gave him money. And most of these businessmen are connected. It's a chain, and this is what is happening in the country. That's why this government would never able to, because of the cartel is completely in charge. Their election campaign, their everything they do, that's why they throw money as it is. And it did not start with Barrow. Go and find out the latter part of Abdoulaye Wade's government and the measures Macky Sall have to take to put a resemblance of control. But be it Senegal, be it Gambia, be it this, what is worst, they avoid Senegal because it's very very little bit difficult. But the Gambia and other places is life, and Gambia now is the easiest place ever. Remember again, almost a year ago, a Gambian, still now the identity I cannot reveal, but the identity is other people that know, bought a Gambian consortium and led by a Gambian, bought a Kuwaiti airline, a Kuwaiti plane, run by the Kuwaiti airline, and brought that plane to the Gambia, and next minute that plane was intercepted in Guinea-Bissau. With that night, intercepted, the plane flew from the Gambia, went into Guinea-Bissau airspace without being warned. To the last minute, the presidential guards called the air to let the plane, allow the plane to land in Guinea-Bissau. The plane landed in Guinea-Bissau. International law enforcement were after the plane. What happened? The government protected the plane until they took everything they needed to take from the plane. They took everything out and obviously put it where they want. And then they allowed the monitoring agencies to do their investigation. That incident caused the so-called coup d'etat so-called coup d'etat you had in Guinea-Bissau. And from, not Ben Suare, go and check it, Google it. The president of Guinea-Bissau said to release the plane because he knows the owner of the plane. He's a good friend of him, a Gambian at the State House. He said a Gambian at the State House, not Ben Suare. It's the president. Go and read the statement he said. At Parliament. That's why I said we are completely controlled and nothing will come out of this. Let me just do this brief in Wolof. Just summarize it brief in Wolof. Lu ma bëgg a wax fii mooy ne tey luñ doon waxtaan mooy mbiri drogue boo xam ne téye nañ ko daanaka dem na suy di luy dem 1 ton of cocaine ñu ngi ko jàppee sallaaji lana tax ñuy waxtaan bi mooy loo xam ne ñun ñëpp gis nañ ko drogue mu ngi koo def si réew mi waaye nag nekkul loo xam ne lu ñu bett la wala lu ees luy dem si fàtte naa time waxtu bi sax waaye ay weer balaa ñoo jàppa 2 tonnes yooyu jàppa si port Gambia génnoon naa di wax Gambien si ne nañ leen bàyyi xel di drogue trafic si cartel si ñu ngi control systems foofu lana tax ma xam ko mooy suma background ak suma conscience ak nit ñi egga ne ma am na luy demoon and noonu lañ def bu maa wax ak bu drogue boobu bu ñëw jàpp drogue bi muy benn because of science are there ñu xam seen liggéey nañ dee xam luy demoon waaye nekkul lu bees Yaya Jammeh dafa contrôle nekkutoon di dem on de moom si bopp xam moo ko doon contrôle moo tax ku ne Yaya Jammeh amul alal xamul lu Yaya Jammeh amee ñaata lañ doon fay plane yu doon wàcce di éeg ñaata la ñoo fay pour wàcce storage façon yi luwaas bu nekk mu ngi ko doon loué sovereignty of the Gambia loolu lu ma xamal suma bopp la dina ma def investigation loolu nag dañ toog léegi ñii ñum doon jëflanteel léegi ñu ñoo def dañoo jëflanteel ay Gambians difin den dem si politique lu ñoo wax buy in mooy dem si dugalante politicians yi rawatina ñoo xam ne ñoo nekk government and maa ngi wax na opposition bu bàyyi seen xel trop nañ bàyyi xel seen xel trop ñu nekk government nag la ñoo uti de waaye fu mu ne ñoom lañ gën a amal soxla buñ ko suñ defee loolu moo leen a mun a jox sañ-sañ bi pour ñu def lu ñoo def léegi ñun gis nañ evidence bi tam si loo xam ne mu ngi koo def suñ ndaw ñi tey crime buy dem on yëpp suñ ndaw ñi soo demee xool drugs mooy seen gannaaw ñu ngi àndaat ñoo seen sago léegi dinaa wax fii loo xam ne du ma wax lépp nu mu amee ndi bañ naa ëllëg si biir ñu génn si ñu ne soo gisee seen investigation bi yaaxu et social media luñ wax wala diw luñ wax di man suma tur moom duñ ko wax di ñoom génnee nañ press release buñ génnee press release bi am na foo xam ne man xam naa ne gaaruwaale bi kenn moomu ko gannaaw man wala ku mel ni man moo ko moom because of loo xam ne sonal naa leen fu ñu waxee ne Madrid sax lu ñu wax ñu ne amidst desperate disinformation campaign against the agency by group and individuals who are serving nothing but the interests of the criminals and criminal organizations, the agency remains focused and resolved in discharging our mandate. The seizure is yet another demonstration of our capacity, resolve, and commitment to fight against transnational drug trafficking. We are utterly ensuring that the Gambia remains a hostile ground for drug trafficking. Yëpp fen la dëgg loo xam ne campagne boo xam ne ñun ñu ngi ko téye léegi lii moo tax ñoom ñuy wax ñun man soo gisee maay wax sañ-sañ bi lu tax maay wax mooy ne suma background ak loo xam ne def naa si interest muy jamono Jammeh dugga si di xool pour mun a am lu ñoo téye si moom continuer si and xam nuñ ko mun a gisee looloo tax ma ne nañ ko séddoo wax ko ñu hold leen accountable ba pare bu loolu tam éduquer Gambien si pour ñu understand luy dem government bi bu ñu taxaw rek de xamuñ si daal lii di déedéet ñoom ñooy problème bi dañ leen jëndal Adama Barrow lu mu xam rek ñu jox ko enveloppe xamul enveloppe fu mu jógee ñoom businessman la déedéet moo tax ma ne la intelligence bi su woogoon nu mu woon a woog yi yëpp nañ ko doon déedéet waaye dañoo dañu jënd lépp système bi yëpp lañ pénétrer dañ ñooñu doo leen mun a def dara pour ñu am sañ-sañ léegi lu xew mooy lu tax man ma xam luy dem on su nit ñi bàyyee xel ñoo xam ne ñu ngi topp social media man dama toog am ñoo xam ne bokk nañ si ñu dem di def opération bi di dem jàppa mbiri drogue bi ñu contact ma ñu ne ma right now ñu ngi rate ak cocaine am nañ about 600 ma 800 blocks si sellaaj waaye ragal nañ ne suñ kilifa yi foog naa ne kuñ ma wax sax ne moo lead opération bi jobaate la tura suñ kilifa yi daal dafa mel ni State House already am nañ interest si case bi ñu ne ma soo ko génneewut soo génnut génnee ko dinañ case bi dina dee ñu ne ma depuis démba ñu ngee toppali ma ne ko baax na waaye dama ba tey ma ne xaaral ñu jox ma tur ay tur ma ne ba tey du ma def loolu because of tuumal la rek te investigation mën nu ma ko waxee mooy ne ñoom sa toppuñ sa tey yu ñu war a toppa because ñoom seen press release bi xam naa ñu bari ñu ngi waaw wax leen wax déedéet sécurité fa am na moo demee seen press release bi dañ génnee lu bari duñ génne lu fi waruñu woon a génnee turi nit ñi sax waroon na ñoo wax rek ne génn suñ liggéey bi génn nañ tey wala génn nañ fan yi jàpp nañ lii ñu ko jàppee place nangam jàpp nañ ay ndaw yi ñi am nañ ci Gambien am nañ waaye ëpp doole bi wala juróom-ñaar yi juróom-benn bi séréro yi ñeen doy na seen tur yi sax wañ ko joxe ndik am na lu si nekka di presumption of innocence proven guilty circumstances mun naa tax nit ki mel ne fa taxa te su tur bi génne rek yàqu na until ngeen am certain level of investigation dig man xam naa ne jamono yu defuñ ko dig amen other issues mu ngee ñëw bu ma ko déggee taxut ma am fa bu ma génnee man joxe moo benn tur yuñ ma jox dama rek wax ne ñu ngi report dama ko caveat sax man ne report ne operations mu ngee dem on fu mu ne nii téye nañ defin ko kenn waaye nag am na ku ñoo waxal o ñoo xam ne ñu ngi waxal ñoom nekka State House ñu ngi bëgg a tëdda si ñu ngi bëgg a coverle ma am fa waaye taxut ma loolu laa bind foofu waaye ma génna ne xaaral ma laajte suma nit ñi because of tur buñ ma jox ñu ne Lamin Seydi Kane tur benn tur rek bari na si ñu tur Lamin Seydi Kane rawatina ñu jógee Jaara xam naa ñaar wala ñetta ma xam ñoo xam ne xam nañ network ma contact leen ma ne yëg ngeen réet buy dem on and tur bi lañ wax ne moom drogue bi loolu lañ tuumal waxuma ne moo am ndaa wax loolu mu set bu ma leen ko waxee ñu ne ma xaaral ma ne leen kan la ban Lamin la ban lam bi fen ñu turi ñëw bañ ñëw ne ma diw lañ ko fa ma ñu defin ñu ne ma ok diw la béppee bu ma continuer bi sax ñu ne ma diw lañ tuuma ba diggante boobu bu ma waxaat ñoom kenn ki mu ne ma xaaral am na koo xam ne xam naa ne daal am na lu gaay am boor boobu mu contact ko kooku ne ko xaaral ma ñëw te ku mu contact ki dëkkul Gambie sax waaye mu ne ko xaar kooku delsi waat na ko du boobu ku ma waxal ki mu ne ma bu mu ko ne du boobu mu ne ma fu mu ne nii am nga beneen mu ne ma bii mu ngee dem on waaye mu ne ma du boobu ndi am na beneen bu nekk sa laaj bi foofu xam naa ñu bay waaw waaye doo wax xaw ma ban kër la sa waaye xam naa ne fi bot nekkut ne ñun man sax du ma ne ñun man benn soirée ne waxtaanuma ay kilifa ne leen ne soxluma seen fay utuma paas utuma ñëw Gambie sax waaye suma xam-xam si lii liggéey intelligence màcc na boo xam ne nii duma pour tukki ñëw Gambie liggéey naa intelligence dëkk yoo xam ne musuma faa dem lan laa am rek mooy dañ maa jox luñ am ñu xool ko ñu jox leen direction fu ñoo jaar ak fu ñu war a xool lu ñu war a xoolee ñu génne si dara rawatina dëkk boo xam ne fa laa juddoo yaroo fa xam lu fa lay defoon man leen soxluñ dara ñu jàppale leen pour ñu xeex lii waaye duñ ko nangu léegi am na yoo xam ne jotoon nañ koo defa ñoom sax lan lañ si mujjee dañ dem di aar ñooñu loo mun a def ñun luñ mën a def nañ ko pour ëllëg si biir waaw waaye la naka benn waxu de mënuñ si la maa la ne tey laa la wax suñ si amoon iti tey naa fi toog ma def suñ si waaye du am suñ ko waxee sax ñun try naa ko ba pare xam naa nañ si la du nekk drogue rek alali tappale alali difin money laundering tey am na yu bari yuy dem on te ñu koo def dëgg la ndig ñun lu ñu xam si criminal mooy ndaw yoo xam ne society fail na leen bañ destitute di def li ñoo def waaye ñu koo def bés bu ñu leen tuddaloon te lii nekkul lu bees luy amee caay-caay yii musu fa nekk nit yu ndaw ay borom nomb tànk foog ñu bokk maa la ne depuis time yi Jawara ba tey ñu xam ne fii lañ nekkoon dem lañ laajte la na indi woon Gambia Air Settle Gambia lu doon opéré Gambia Air Settle trafficking of jamono yu heroin from Pakistan to Gambia and feneen ñun fekkee nañ am na ñoo xam ne ay mos committee lañ bokkoon ñu am tur ñun fekkee nañ xam nañ but amuñ ci interest because of ñooñu tey ñoo contrôle réew mi bot soo gisee ñuy waxtaan pour ñu jàngal léegi bu ma waxee loolu tey su du toon ne Lamin Sedikane turam sax jox def nañ ko foofu Omar foofu ne def nañ turam du ma ko doon laal du ma wax seen tur ngum damaa bàyyi investigation ni continue waaye Lamin Sedikane investigation tur defuñ turam foofu waaye already gis naa ñeneen def nañ seen turam mu ngi fële mu ngi si biti ba pare Lamin Sedikane man xam naa ko waaye aw maa moom affaire bi war a xam o war koo mun a miimal wala leneen nit ko ku ma xam am na ñoo xam ne tey soo ma ewoon si nelaw sa tuumal la am naa sañ-sañ ni miimal ne déedéet amul li xam naa leen xam boobu léegi seen jukko laa xam Lamin xam naa ko Gambie daf doon ñëw ba kaw am na si ay xaritam yu mu doon ñëw ak fuñ doon campé surowaate woon waaye xam boobu taxul xam naa ko bu mu ñëwee 1995 London gisante ne ñaari yu yëg laa mun a wax ne toog naa moom waxtaan ak xëj na sax xaw ma ndax waaye yaakaar naa ne na ma fàttali ko léegi am na lu ñu boolee tax ñu mun a toog waxtaan waaye mun naa wax ay at fu mu ne 20 something years teguma ko bët waxu maamu waaye dañ ko tuumal ne te naa explain naka la suma investigation am na luñ ma explainal loo xam ne tam bokkawu xen turam génn na naa ko explain ne loolu noonu la demee investigation bi ñu ne ma Lamin Sedikane businessman la builder la contractor la kër gi ndax moo ko moom ndax waaye moo ko sampa autorité moo ko amee Omar Fofana ñu ne jarbaati Lamin Sedikane la moo daf lee liggéey moom la dee yónni mu dawalal ko soxlaam xam nga liggéey yu mel ni disi naa ñu ne am na kenn si Sierra Leone si tur bi ku si tura Thomas kenn ki si Sierra Leone si Jeremiah Thomas kooku ñu ne daf lee sampa maçon la wala sampakat la ñu ne daf lee liggéeyal Lamin kooku ñu ne kooku la buñ sampee kër gi ba pare daanaka pare na Lamin jox ko ci kër gi pour mu dëkk fa loolu lañ ma wax buñ ne pour mu dëkk fa ñu ne moom moo indi ñoo xam ne ñeneen ñoo dëkk fa moom léegi Omar Fofana lu indi turam mooy ne buñ laajtee Lamin fekkal Lamin dafa tukki mu ngi dem Spain xaw ma ndax ñëpp si na ndax lan léegi waa ji ne leen ne am na keneen ku responsible kër gi mooy Omar Fofana noonu la si Omar Fofana turam ñëwee ndax xam nañ mbiri taay bi óoruma waaye lii moo explain ñoom seen association from luñ ñoom man fu ma jëlee waxtaan bi investigation bi lan mooy determine kan moo guilty loolu investigation moo ko mun a def competent investigation mun naa def loolu but koo xam ne mooy Jeremy koo xam ne moom lañ jox kër gi moo am over control ndik Omar mun naa am mu ngay ñëw si kër gi xëy na mu nekk di dem ubbi fu nekk di seet lu fa nekk amen lan mooy tax amen loolu mu fa Lamin mun naa am xamu si dara moom liggéeykatam la jox place am loolu mu ngi si but again loolu yëpp lu ko determine mooy investigation now because waaye lu ma óor mooy ne Sierra Leone si ñii ñoom rek te benn Gambien bokk si mënu fa nekk wala businessmen yoo xam ne prominent lañ ci réew mi wala ñu am doole nombre tànka bépp du bokk ndig drogue nekkul marchandise booy dem si bitik ak jënda drogue duñ ko dee jaayantee jëndante ndig da nga am xaalis da ngaa bokk because dañ koo protect da ngaa bokka fuñ ko liggéeyee ba fu moo dem fa téléphone buñ ko jaay dafa am yoon moo jaar drogue noonu la dee demee now waaye sañ-sañ bi kuy jël dem invest time am xaalisam risque at yëpp pour jëlee drogue South America ndi wóor na ma ne South America laa jógee suma investigation wax na ma ne 3 tons moo ñëw ñu ne dañ ko séddaale niñ ko séddaalee nag xaw ma ko ñu ne am na bu dem Bissau am na bu ñëw fii Gambia loolu lañ ma wax from jógewul si police yi si contract yoo xam ne ñoo nekk si mbedd soo xam ne nooy liggéeyee mun ngaa liggéey these people without whatever it is information dafa am nañ ko uti ñu ne ma looloo am then kenn du jël that risk dem si dëkka indi fa loolu am ni ton te ñuy sancu kaaraangi réew mi bokkuñ si politician si bokkuñ si laata politician si di boo te su ma ne politician rawatina ñoo xam ne ñoo amee nguur because of ñooy appoint ñooy control ñoo mun a wax bàyyi leen ñu bàyyi def leen ñu def because of suñu institutions independent because of ñu fa nekk tey ñoo fa nekkoon jamono Yaya Jammeh te ñëpp gis nañ dégg nañ ko si TRRC bi ne they are corrupt they are incompetent dama xool seen background at si records buñ am depuis bu ñëwee Baro ñëwee ba tey kookee yu ñëw dégg yëpp doo si dégg benn buñ prosecute tey ñu ngi jàppa a local Gambian always di living anabanta kenn gisu ko bu Libanese si port bi kenn déggaatu ko bu beneen naar ganaar bi other people kenn déggaatu ko si dañ leen kenn déggaatu ko te bii tam noonu la moo demee waaye des na si Gambian si léegi loolu mënut a am without nga am these people kan la nag loolu ñoom ñoo ko war a déterminer su nekkee ne Adama Barrow mu ngi amee réew mi ñu amee kaaraange ñu ne ñu ngi amee réew mi waaye nag lii ñun la war a itteeloo Gambie ñu suñ njaboot ak dëkk bi insécurité am dafaa gën a bon buñ lan lañ ñëwee mooy ñoom gaa yu santi kaaraange réew mi ñoom ñu gaa yi NDNA naka gaa yi law enforcement officers yi ñu ne seen màccaay seen xam-xamaay ak seen investir yëpp la du dara waxuñ dëgga dañ si tombé am na loo xam ne du ma ko wax nu mu xewee si boppam di bugguma élégué si biir ñu ne looloo yaaxa seen investigation waaye luñ wax li ñoom seen boppa loolu dëgga la Westfield dem nañ benn bloc ñu xam liggéey bi nu mu dee demee au lii nu moo mel benn bloc te tuutee des fa la doon am si benn bloc bi bon benn bloc boobu moo indi ñu dem Brifing jàppale ne ba si élection nag buñ demee sallaaji nag si la koo xam ne mu ngi fa xam ne fu mu ne nii am na lu fi because téléphone call saa ngeen dem te Gambie dem nañ ngeen seetaat vidéo of sàcc nuñ saajee kër gi ama loolu jotuma ko wax si anglais sax but moo laa wan ne these people lu ñuy wax ne professionnel duñ professional déedéet dafa mel ni mobile phone sax lañ doon use di record a law enforcement officer ñoom luñ leen def noonu dafaa dem into evidence su nekkee ne dem nañ trial mel ni danga ku nekk doo mun a amut anything bu laa dëgg la soo nekkee undercover di nga nekk undercover but am na yoo xam ne dina wane ne ba tey soo yemee opération daa ngeen réet da nga war a mel ni professional ku la gis xam ne kii professional waaye dugal génn doo mun a xam boppa bee genn bi yéen a ngee sàcc lii yëpp moo laa wan rek ne duma si dugga bu baax because mu la ëllëg si bi waaye soo dem leen xool vidéo bi nga xam ne ñii duñ professionnel dañu defee dooyu yëpp language dafa important because yaa mu ngee dem court of law jéem lii yëpp dara suñ góorgóorlu si Gambie ni an gisuma li génn dara génn si waaye nag su si dara génnut na génn si société bi lii insecurity bu nekk société bi tey di jooy lii moo ko indi moo tax ma ne ñu waxtaan li génne ko explain lu ma bugg a delluwaat ma ne tur yu ñu wax yëpp tur yu ñu wax yëpp comme neex nga am sa xalaat waaye loi lu mu wax ne kenn si ñoom guilty wut mun naa am 6 sero yooyu nañ si mun naa am ñaar ñu fa sax xamuñ ne taay mu si kër gi xëy na dañ nekkaa nit foofu wala dañ am beneen soxla boo xam ne nit ñu ngeen jëmlante ñu fekka leen fa circonstances mun naa am waaye jarami boo xam ne moom lañ jox kër gi moo responsible kër gi kooku mënut a wax ne waaye xaw ma woon ne ñii ma indi fii lii lañ fi amee boobu la fa metti Lamin Sedika mun naa wax ne dama joxe kër gi mun naa am Omar mun naa wax ne man suma nijaay moo ma dee yónni su ma ñëwee musuma ama ñii at lii ba loolu yëpp ñoom luñ mun a wax la waaye any competent investigation mun na moo génne yëppam set moo tax ma ne su doon ne lu law enforcement office bi doon wax ne dëgg la ñoom dinañ leen xam drogue bi nu mu duggee nañ doon xam ñan a ko dugal nañ doon xam lu bari loo xam ne muy tax nit ñi mun a xam ne xam nañ yow waaye déedéet lii tombé la amuñ expérience bi amuñ intégrité bi te su nekkee ne am jàppanañ sax du dem fen comme yeneen waaye nag ñu laaj ci boppam laata bon yu ñoo jàpp yëpp di dem fen Adama Barrow président yéen a ngi gis Silaba Samate te maa ngi turi Silaba rek laay oo ndig Silaba moo génn si confession fii during the struggle di explain moo ñoom Yaya Jammeh nu ñekkee woon si diili taay moo ko wax du man but maa la wax ne ñu xam evidence of other people ñuy liggéey State House jege Adama Barrow lool yes ñu ngi si am nañ rôle bu ñëw play am na koo xam ne in fact vidéo am na di explain ne ñoom mun nañ koo indi besi plaine bi pour yow loolu pour ane Gambia moom bu si lefen dapay di wax di explain ne ko waxtu bu ñoo jël flight yan flight la ñoo mën a jël nag fa fu ñoo dëkk yu ñoo mën a jaar di ko wax ni ngay Spain soo demee flight bi soo ko jëlee to Spain this time suñ customers yu bari di si vidéo bi kuñ xam la te Adama Barrow moo ko indi State House muy explain ne ñoom seen mbir mi nu mu baaxee ne soo ko dogee sax def am na fin sax ba tey soo ko duggee si test lu tuuti mu yëpp gis nañ ko bon ñun suñ toogee fii nekkuñ di tuuma naaw des na si Gambien si ñu ngi ko loolu wax before elections ñi politique la bu ma ko njëkkee wax waaw li fen ñu toog di gis waaye fu mu ne nii evidence bi ëpp na te ku foog ne drogue na dugg si réew dëgg la lii I'll tell you one thing moo tax ma ne leen ne ñii in fact dañ dekaawe ñii moomuñ taay wi de lu nongo di wax dekaawe mooy dañ dekaawe dañ doon jël di jaay lii pour la faa génn réew daf lay génn réew mi di dem Dubai di dem toog di dem yeneen réew yi am na nu moo génnee loolu yëpp NDV mun nañ ko musuloo dégg ñu jàpp kenn si yu mel nii yes because prominent people ñoom ci bokk moo tax ma ne nekkuñ di def seen liggéey ñii dañ demoon di dikkaawee di jaay pour am dara lii moo indi sax ñu jàppaleen soo leen fàttale ko the same thing moo xewoon bu jamono Yaya Jammeh bi bu ñu jàppee bu nekk bonto da ngeen fa ne Yaya Jammeh xamutoon Venezuelans ak yëpp seen infrastructure bi lan la woon ñu ngi doon fay dañ doon fay lampo plane bu laan seen plane jamono yooyu guddi plane bu laan $50,000 la ñoo fay $1,000 lañ doon fay Yaya Jammeh xaw ma awali la xaw ma la waaye $50,000 bi lu ma óor lu ko doon génnee nu mu doon génnee airport nu mu doon génnee ba egga bonto yëpp law enforcement officers waaye gis nga ñu si tuumal yooyu ne ko ne dañ sedd xam nañ ci dara yëpp Yaya Jammeh lañ doon liggéey léegi nag loolu moo continuer waaye bii yoon ñii dañ am seen freedom di deal ak ñu ñoo dealal si law enforcement officers bi loolu la naaw des na si ñun des na si Gambien si bon ñu dugal suñu boppa ne ñu bàyyi these people di ñu gëmloo mbiri xeet di bàyyi these people di ñu gëmloo mbiri political party loolu du difference suñ strength la war a nekk ñu génne tappale bu fa nekk tappale bi moo indi lii corruption moo indi lii te dina rey dëkk gis ngeen lu xewoon Bissau suñ mootul mu ñëw Gambie ñi toog cartel bi fu mu ne am nañ doole te doo cartel luñ dugal seen business du yaaxu nañ ko jotaat de te kenn ba tey kenn mënu laa woon 3 tons of cocaine yi fu mu nekk dañ ko destroy over ku la ko war defaa fen kenn mënu laa wax 3 tons of cocaine fu mu nekk cartel seen alal lu yaaxu foog ñu jot dabu seen xaalis léegi nag réew mi fa la nekk fa lañ tollu jërëjëf bugguma woon mu egsi fii bot bañ rek wax loo xam ne dafa manqué rawatina ñoo xam ne ñu ngeen tuumal nit ñi dégg ko neneen waaye lu ma wax mooy ne lu détermine ko guilty benn soirée ameewu ko investigation moo ko mën a def yóbbu ko ci court of law ñu détermine ko but circumstances yi lii la environment bi lii la because the environment circumstances ak activities yi ngay mën a jël pour nga def sa investigation am na lu bari luñ mën a def nag pour mën a investigate lii waaye nag lu ma leen wax mooy ne awma si yaakaar te suñ jàppee ne la Sierra Leone si rek la ñoo yóbbu koot tëj leen dañ wax ma ne defuñ ko waaye ndey mbila yi duñ ko def saa yu nekk su xewee ndey mbila duñ ko def te naa la ne lii mënut a dugg a Gambie without ay nombre tànk xam si dara mënut a dugg a Gambie ay ñu am doole xam si dara ndig drogue kenn du ko dem jaay ko si bitik dafa am network bi foog mu jaar am na ñoo xam ne ñu ngi si duñ gis drogue duñ laal drogue xaalisu drogue bi sax bala moo egsi si ñoom fekk raxas nañ ko même set waaw moo tax ma ne leen ne ñu am doole ñi duñ gis drogue ñu am doole ñu duñ laal drogue ñu am drogue yi doole duñ dikka fu drogue bi nekka ñu am doole bi duñ transport drogue ñuy def lii yëpp ñooy ñëpp si ndaara yi lañ bokka ndaara yi xëj na moo tax sax ñuy sàcca difin bi sa dem taxaw Westfield na dangaa jaayante jëndante o contract nit teg difin ama bu ma see dugga sax balaa maa wax lu ma wota bot wax leen ne rek ne not ne dañ def seen dara mu ngi fu ne alal bu bari yu nekk si réew mi tey soo si génnoon xaalis si drogue soo si génnoon xaalis si tappale façon yi network yu nekk fu mu ne ni ñu opéré Gambie noonu la yobbee jërëjëf and have a good day thank you